Today, we are talking about common habits and learning traps to avoid if you want to improve your English faster. And I promise, this is not about working harder for 10 hours a day. It is about noticing small mistakes in the way you study. Because sometimes your routine feels serious, but it is actually slowing you down.
Exactly, Emma. Many learners think I am watching videos, I am reading rules, I am saving vocabulary, so why do I still freeze when I speak? The answer is often not your intelligence or your memory. It is the type of practice you repeat every day.
And that is good news, because a routine can change. In this episode, we will look at traps that look useful at first, like copying long lists, translating every sentence, or waiting until you feel ready to speak, and we will replace them with easier habits.
So if you have ever felt that your English is in a heavy backpack, stay with us. By the end, you will have a clearer way to study, speak, listen, and review without making the process feel like a punishment.
One reason this topic matters is that English can become very emotional. You may feel proud one day and completely lost the next day, especially when you understand a video but cannot answer a simple question in a conversation.
Yes. And that moment can make you think I am bad at languages, but usually it only means that you trained one skill more than another. Understanding is not the same as speaking, and knowing a word is not the same as using it naturally.
That difference is huge. If you only train your eyes and ears, your mouth will feel slow. It is like reading about swimming for a year and then feeling surprised that the water feels different when you finally jump in.
That is why today we are not going to shame anyone for their habits. We are going to understand them, adjust them, and make them more active, because active practice gives your brain a real reason to remember.
I also want the listener to feel relaxed. You do not need a perfect plan, a perfect notebook, or perfect pronunciation to improve. You need contact with English that is regular, simple, and connected to real life.
And you need to know which habits are secretly expensive. They cost you time, energy, and confidence. Some of them feel comfortable because you can do them alone, but they do not push you to produce language.
So listen with one simple question in mind. Which habit can I change this week? Not next year, not when life is calmer, but this week, in a small way that you can actually repeat.
Perfect. Let us start with one of the biggest traps, because it is very common and it can hide inside a very busy study routine.
Let us begin with the busy student trap, because it is the habit of doing many English activities but not checking if they help you communicate. You can spend an hour moving from one app to another and still avoid the thing you really need, which is using English.
I know that trap very well. A learner tells me, "Daniel, I studied for 2 hours, and then I ask, 'What did you say in English today?' Often the answer is nothing, because all the practice was silent."
Silent practice is not bad, of course. Reading, listening, and reviewing are useful. The problem starts when silent practice becomes the whole plan, and your brain never has to build a sentence under real pressure.
A simple fix is to add a production moment to every study session. After a video, say a short summary. After a text, write 3 personal sentences. After new words, tell a tiny story with them.
I like the idea of a small output task because it removes the drama. You do not need to make a speech. You can record 30 seconds about your day, your lunch, or the last series you watched.
And the first recordings may feel strange. That is normal. Your voice in another language can sound like a different person, but if you continue, you begin to hear progress that you cannot see in a grammar exercise.
Another busy trap is collecting resources. People download lists, courses, books, and videos, and it feels like progress because the folder is full. But a full folder is not the same as a stronger habit.
That is so true. Choose one main resource for a few weeks and use it deeply. Repeat, speak about it, review it, and connect it to your life instead of jumping to something new every time you feel bored.
The goal is not to do more and more. The goal is to make each activity work harder for you. One short article can become listening practice, speaking practice, vocabulary practice, and a conversation topic.
Yes, and this also helps your confidence because you stop feeling lost in a sea of materials. You know what to do today, and that simple clarity makes it much easier to start.
So, if your study time looks full but your speaking does not improve, do not blame yourself. Ask a better question. Where is the active part of my practice?
And when you find that active part, protect it. Even 5 minutes of speaking, writing, or explaining can change the quality of your whole session.
Now, we move to stop translating every word, a section that can feel uncomfortable because translation is useful, especially at the beginning. But if you translate every single sentence in your head, speaking becomes slow and tiring.
Translation is like a bridge. A bridge helps you cross, but you do not want to live on the bridge forever. At some point, you need to spend more time thinking directly in simple English.
A good way to do that is to name things around you in English. When you are making coffee, think cup, water, hot, morning, I need coffee. It is simple, but it trains your brain to connect English with life, not only with Spanish.
And you can build small phrases, not just isolated words. For example, I am opening the window. I am looking for my keys. I am late again. These little sentences are powerful because they are close to your real day.
Another problem with translating everything is that languages do not always match. Sometimes a sentence that is normal in Spanish sounds strange in English, even if every word is correct.
That is why chunks are so helpful. A chunk is a ready piece of language, like, by the way, at the moment, I am not sure, or it depends. You learn the whole piece and use it without building it word by word.
I love chunks because they make you sound more natural, fast. Instead of thinking about grammar for every small part, you can use a phrase that already works and then change one part to fit your idea.
For example, take the chunk I am trying to. You can say I am trying to sleep, I am trying to save money, I am trying to speak more English. One small structure gives you many real sentences.
So the goal is not to ban translation completely. That would be unrealistic. The goal is to use translation as a tool and then move toward direct connection with images, actions, feelings, and situations.
A nice exercise is the No Dictionary Minute. Choose an object, a photo, or a memory, and describe it with the English you already have. If you miss a word, explain around it instead of stopping.
That skill is gold in real conversations. Native speakers and fluent speakers forget words too, but they do not stop the whole conversation. They say, the thing you use for, and they keep going.
When you stop translating every word, you may feel less safe for a while, but you become faster. You train your brain to travel a shorter road from idea to sentence.
Our next section is the perfection before speaking trap, and this one is very human. Many learners wait to speak until their grammar is perfect, their accent is perfect, and their vocabulary is perfect. But that day never really arrives.
And the sad part is that speaking is one of the things that creates improvement. If you wait until you are ready, you miss the practice that would make you ready.
Exactly. You do not learn to speak by only preparing to speak. You learn to speak by speaking a little, noticing what was hard, learning something useful, and trying again with more comfort.
A useful question is not, was my sentence perfect? A better question is, did the other person understand my main idea? Communication is the first goal, and accuracy can grow from there.
This does not mean grammar is not important. Grammar is very important because it helps people understand time, meaning, and relationships between ideas. But grammar should support communication, not block it.
One practical habit is to choose one grammar focus for a conversation. Maybe today you focus on past tense, so you tell a story about yesterday. You will make mistakes, but your attention has a clear job.
That is much better than trying to control all grammar at the same time. When you try to control everything, your mind becomes crowded, and your speaking becomes slower than your real ideas.
Also, accept repair. If you say, yesterday I go, and then you notice it, you can repair. Yesterday I went. That quick correction is not failure. It is your brain learning in real time.
I think learners also need permission to sound simple. Simple English is not bad English. If you can explain an idea clearly with simple words, that is a strong communication skill.
Absolutely. Sometimes, learners try to use a difficult word to sound advanced, but the sentence becomes strange. A clear sentence with common words is often more powerful than a complicated sentence that falls apart.
So if you avoid speaking because you want to sound impressive, try changing the goal. Say, I want to be understood. I want to continue. And I want to learn one thing from this conversation.
That mindset makes speaking less scary. You are not performing on a stage. You are practicing a skill with another human being. And humans are usually more patient than we imagine.
Now, let us talk about passive listening is not enough. Because listening to English in the background can help you get used to the sound, but it is not the same as focused listening. Your brain can ignore a lot when you are not paying attention.
Background English is like having music in another room. It creates an atmosphere, and that is nice. But you cannot expect to learn every lyric if you never stop and listen carefully.
A stronger habit is to listen twice with a purpose. The first time, understand the general idea. The second time, catch useful phrases, pronunciation, and little words that connect the sentence.
And after listening, do something with it. Repeat one sentence, answer one question, or explain the main point aloud. Listening becomes more powerful when it finishes with action.
Shadowing can be useful too, but only if you do it in a gentle way. You listen to a short sentence and repeat it, trying to copy the rhythm, not trying to become a perfect actor.
Yes, and choose short audio. If the audio is too long, you get tired and stop noticing details. A small clip can give you more learning than a long video that you half understand.
There is also a trap with subtitles. Subtitles are helpful, but if you always read them, your eyes do the work, and your ears relax. Try listening first, without subtitles. Then check them later.
A good balance is simple. First listen for meaning, then use subtitles to confirm, and finally, listen again without them. That third listen is where your ears often wake up.
I also suggest keeping a listening notebook, but not a giant one. Write down a few phrases you actually want to use. If you write everything, you create another busy student trap.
Exactly. The best phrase is not the most beautiful phrase. It is the phrase you can imagine saying tomorrow. Maybe it is, I see what you mean, or that sounds difficult, or let me think.
Then, use the phrase the same day. Say it aloud, put it in a message, or create a mini dialogue. The phrase needs to leave the notebook and enter your mouth.
That is the difference between collecting English and owning English. When you own a phrase, you can use it without panic, and it becomes part of your speaking toolbox.
So, passive listening can be a nice extra, like background exercise for your ears. But if you want faster improvement, add attention, repetition, and a small action after listening.
And remember, listening is not just about understanding every word. It is about training your ear to follow ideas, notice patterns, and prepare your mouth to use what you hear.
Our next section is vocabulary that stays, because many learners know the pain of learning a word today and losing it tomorrow. The problem is not always memory. Sometimes the word never gets a real job.
A word gets a job when you use it for something personal. If you learn the word crowded, do not only translate it. Say, the bus was crowded yesterday, or my inbox is crowded after vacation.
Personal examples create stronger memory because they connect the word to your life. Your brain does not treat it like a random object on a shelf. It becomes part of a real situation.
Also, learn fewer words at one time. 10 useful words that you meet again, say aloud, and use in messages are better than 50 words that live only in a list.
Another trap is learning words without their friends. In English, words often travel together. We say, make a mistake, take a break, heavy rain, and strong coffee. These partners help you sound natural.
Yes, if you learn mistake alone, you may not know which verb to use. But if you learn make a mistake, you have a ready piece of language that is much easier to use in conversation.
This is why vocabulary lists with single words can be a trap. They look clean and organized, but speaking needs combinations. Try saving short phrases instead of lonely words.
And when you review, do not only look and say, yes, I know this. Cover the meaning and test yourself. Can you make a sentence? Can you remember the phrase without looking?
Spaced review helps a lot too. You do not need to review everything every day. It is better to meet a word today, tomorrow, in a few days, and then again later.
And the review should be active. Instead of only recognizing the word, try to produce it. Recognition says, I understand this. Production says, I can use this when I need it.
One fun exercise is the 3-sentence challenge. Choose one phrase and create a sentence about your past, your present, and your future. The same phrase becomes flexible in your mind.
For example, with take a break, you can say, I took a break after work. I am taking a break now, and I will take a break this weekend. That is practical and memorable.
The big message is simple. Vocabulary stays when it moves. Move it from the list to your voice, from your voice to a message, and from a message to a real conversation.
If a word never moves, it becomes decoration. Pretty maybe, but not useful. Give your words a job, and they will stay with you much longer.
Now, we need to discuss motivation, comparison, and real progress, because learning English is not only about methods. It is also about how you feel when progress is slower than you expected.
Comparison is a huge trap. You see someone online speaking beautifully, and you forget that you are seeing the final result, not the years of practice, mistakes, and quiet study behind it.
Also, people learn in different conditions. Some have more time, more money, more contact with English, or a job where they need to use it. Your path is not supposed to look exactly like theirs.
A better comparison is with your own past. Can you understand something that was difficult last month? Can you speak a little longer? Can you recover faster when you forget a word?
Progress often appears in small signs. You understand a joke, you answer without translating one sentence, or you notice a mistake and repair it. These signs matter, even if they are not dramatic.
That is why I like a progress journal. Not a long diary, just a few notes after the week. What was easier? What phrase did you use? What did you understand that surprised you?
This helps motivation because your brain often forgets progress. It remembers embarrassment very clearly, but it forgets the small wins. You need to collect evidence that your English is moving.
And please, do not build your motivation only on feeling excited. Excitement comes and goes. A simple routine is more reliable than a strong mood because routine carries you on normal days.
A routine can be very small. 10 minutes of focused practice can be enough if you repeat it often. The danger is waiting for the perfect free afternoon, because that afternoon may never come.
Yes, and small routines reduce fear. If your plan is huge, missing one day feels terrible. If your plan is realistic, you can return quickly without turning one missed day into a missed month.
Feedback is another emotional area. Some learners avoid feedback because they do not want to hear mistakes. But kind feedback is not an attack. It is information for your next step.
You can ask for focused feedback. Instead of saying, correct everything, say, please tell me one pronunciation point or one grammar point. That keeps feedback useful and not too heavy.
That is such a healthy approach. You learn more from one clear correction that you can practice than from 20 corrections that make you feel frozen and embarrassed.
So, protect your motivation by measuring real progress, avoiding unfair comparison, and choosing routines you can repeat, even when life is busy or your energy is low.
Let us finish with your faster English plan, not because there is a magic formula, but because it helps to leave this episode with something clear and practical. The plan is small, active, and easy to repeat.
Step 1. Choose one main input. It can be a podcast, a short video series, a book, or a course. Do not collect 10 things. Choose one thing and use it well.
Step 2. Add output every time. After you listen or read, speak or write something small. A summary, an opinion, a personal example, or a question is enough.
Step 3. Save phrases, not only words. Pick phrases you can imagine using in your real life and say them aloud more than once. Your mouth needs practice too.
Step 4. Record yourself sometimes. Not to judge your voice, but to notice progress and find one thing to improve. A short recording can show you what your memory hides.
Step 5. Review actively. Close the notebook and try to remember. Make a sentence, answer a question, or explain a phrase. If you only recognize information, you may not be ready to use it.
Step 6. Speak before you feel perfect. Start with safe situations if you need to, like talking to yourself, a tutor, a friend, or a language partner. The important thing is to begin.
And step 7. Keep the plan human. If you miss a day, return the next day. If a resource is too difficult, choose an easier one. A plan that survives real life is better than a perfect plan on paper.
If we had to choose one message from the whole episode, I would say this: stop studying English only in ways that feel safe. Safety is comfortable, but growth needs small moments of risk.
And my message would be, make English useful today. Use one phrase, send one message, ask one question, or describe one part of your day. That is how English becomes a living skill.
Remember, you do not need to fix every habit at once. Choose one trap from today and work on that. Maybe you stop translating everything, maybe you add output, or maybe you finally record your voice.
Small changes are easier to keep, and kept changes become results. If you repeat a better habit for a few weeks, your English will not feel the same because your practice will not be the same.
Thank you for spending this time with us. I hope you leave feeling lighter, not guilty, and ready to try one simple change in your English routine this week.
And that is it for today. Keep your practice active, be kind to yourself, and remember that English improves when you use it. See you in the next episode.